Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, a couple of days ago, I read a very disturbing story out of Fairfax, Virginia. A 17-year-old Muslim girl by the name of Nabra Hassanin was killed. And this is what happened. She was with a group of friends. They had an early morning meal, like before the sun came up, before the Muslim fast, and she's a Muslim. You know, her and her friends were dressed in Muslim attire. After they went to this restaurant, they went to a McDonald's very early in the morning before sunrise to have this early meal before the Ramadan fast. So after they left the restaurant, they were going to the mosque. And while they were walking, they encountered a man in a vehicle. And this man apparently got into an argument with these girls. He got out of his vehicle and he proceeded to swing a bat at these girls. The other girls apparently ran away, but one of the girls got hit in the chest. This man apparently hit this girl in the chest because, according to the autopsy report, she died from blunt force trauma to the chest. So, and her body was later recovered somewhere in Fairfax, Virginia, and the man who committed this crime, his name is Darwin Torres. He has been charged with various offenses. And I just want to take some time to talk about this situation. The authorities claim that they don't have any evidence at this point that this is a hate crime or that she was being targeted because she's Muslim. But the fact of the matter is these girls were in Muslim attire. You know, they were minding their own business, walking. It's hard for me to imagine any other reason for this man to pull over and jump out of his vehicle and proceed to assault these women, you know, to hurt these women. More likely than not, this is a hate crime. More likely than not, this is nothing but an act of domestic terrorism against a group of people based on their faith. That's what it probably is. But this is the climate in which we live in this country. We live in a country where hatred of Muslims is mainstream. There's nothing extreme about hating Muslims in this country. We have created a climate where it is acceptable to hate people because they're Muslim. We have a president that ran on hatred. That's how he got into the White House. His hatred of immigrants, his hatred of Muslims. And this man, now that he has been in office, he tried to implement an unconstitutional travel ban against Muslims from several countries from coming to the United States of America. This is the climate in which we live. We live in a country where it is normal for people to say all kinds of despicable things against Muslims, where it is becoming more and more normal, where you have these incidents of violence against Muslims, where you have these hate crimes committed against Muslims. And, you know, I just think that it's very troubling, to say the least. I mean, it is very disturbing. All people of conscience need to stand up and condemn this kind of violence being committed. We need to send a message telling people that this kind of hatred is not to be tolerated. It's just a shame that an entire religion gets judged for the actions of a few people, for the actions of a few criminals, of a few terrorists. All of a sudden, an entire faith is tarnished and people are targeted. Innocent people are targeted. And, you know, I blame these hate mongers in this country, these people that fan the flames of hatred. I blame them for this. And I also blame the terrorists, these people who commit despicable crimes in the name of religion, in the name of Islam. Because these people who do this, they are doing more to defame Islam than any non-believer ever could. They are doing more to harm Muslims than any of these non-believers have done. I mean, these terrorists, and I'm talking about the Middle Eastern terrorists, these extremists, those terrorists, most of their victims are other Muslims. Most of the people that they are killing in Syria, in Iraq, and around the world are other Muslims. And because of their reckless and senseless and evil acts of violence, innocent Muslims who are simply minding their own business, who are law-abiding, are being victimized because of the actions of those extremists. And I just think that that's, I just think that those people who commit all these terrorist acts in the name of Islam, they are doing Islam an injustice. They are violating the laws of the religion, and they are putting their own fellow believers at risk. People who are minding their own business, just trying to live out their lives in this country. And I just think that that's a disgrace, man. And I think it's a disgrace as well, like just the double standard in terms of the media. When these white people or other people commit acts of violence, they are not called terrorists. It's only when people are Muslim or from the Middle East is what, the crime referred to as an act of terrorism. That's the only time, for the most part, that is referred to as an act of terrorism. Here you have a man who got out of his vehicle and brutally killed a 17-year-old girl, and he's not referred to as a terrorist. If this had been a Muslim committing this crime against a group of Christians, you better believe they would have been called a terrorist. So I just think that the media is biased. I mean, the media is obviously biased, but I just think that this is a prime example of that bias. And, I just think that the media has its priorities all messed up. I was watching the Today Show, and one of their lead stories was about 2 elephants saving a baby elephant. They are more concerned with that. That was more important to the bourgeois corporate media than the death of the 17-year-old Muslim girl. They were more focused on that than on the death of that 17-year-old girl. They were more focused on that than the death of an African-American woman who was killed by the police in Seattle. An African-American woman who was shot and killed by police, a pregnant woman who was killed in the presence of her children. The media was more concerned with the damn elephant than they are concerned with black lives and Muslim lives. And it's just a disgrace. It's just a disgrace. And what's happened in London, real quick, I just want to talk about that real quick. You had this man ram his vehicle into a group of Muslims who were leaving the mosque. This man reportedly said that he wanted to kill some Muslims. Now, I heard some reporting where they are describing him as a terrorist, and rightfully so. It's just a tragic situation, man. This is a tragic situation. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in London? I mean, there have been terrorist attacks, and now you have people retaliating against innocent people who haven't done anything wrong, retaliating against them because of their religion. These people who are reacting this way, either reacting with violence or with bigotry, they are basically playing into the hands of ISIS. These people are basically telling the world that the terrorists like ISIS have won by committing these acts, by being intolerant and by lashing out, because what you're going to create is a cycle of violence. In response to this, you may have some other terrorist attacks and then further retaliation. The violence is just going to beget more violence. So I just had to quickly share my thoughts about this. Tell me what you all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.